9 years of silence ended with a knock on my door and a list with a number on it. My name is Iris Archer. I'm 33. 2 weeks ago, my mother stood on my porch for the first time in almost a decade, holding a suitcase in one hand and a folded piece of paper in the other. That paper wasn't an apology. It was a number. $925,000 broken into 5 tidy bullet points in her handwriting. No, I'm sorry. No, how are my grandchildren? Just, we need to talk about the family's future. What she didn't know was that I'd been keeping a list too. 9 years of one. 29 entries, every one of them dated, labeled, and filed away in a navy binder at the bottom of my desk drawer. She showed up with what she wanted from me. I was about to show her exactly what she'd done to warn it. If you're new here, stick around. This one gets good. And drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. Rewind 10 years. A small town in Ohio you've never heard of, one church, one diner. The kind off place where everybody's business is everybody's business. My dad spent 3 decades at the lumber yard, same boots, same hour home every night. My mother ran our house like a small, exacting government. She planned the church potlucks, organized the prayer chain, and decided, without much debate, who did what and when. My little sister Paige was the bright one. Homecoming queen, golden child, the daughter my mother bragged about at every family gathering. I was the other kind of kid, good grades, quiet, useful, not unloved, exactly. Just further down the list. In our house, attention worked like a budget, and Paige was always the first line item funded. When I got a full ride to Ohio State, the first person in our family to go to college, my mother tucked a card into my suitcase. Flowers on the front, her handwriting on the back. Come home soon. Y'all belong here. I kept that card for 15 years. It still sits beside the binder. It was the last warm thing she ever wrote to me. I met Marcus in a statistics class my junior year, calm, sharp, the kind of guy who solved equations like they were nothing to worry about. He grew up in Cleveland, raised by his mother Cora, a retired school librarian who worked 2 jobs and then some after his father left. Marcus was biracial, and from the very first time my mother shook his hand, something in her face changed. Sheckled him by the wrong name, wouldn't quite meet his eyes. My sister was blunt about it, even back then. She's never going to be okay with this, she warned me at Thanksgiving. I didn't want to believe her. The night Marcus asked me to marry him, no ring yet, just the 2 of us at our kitchen table, asking if I'd build a life with him, I called my mother before he'd even finished his sentence. She went quiet for 7 full seconds. Then, you need to think about what this means for this family. Not congratulations. A warning. 2 weeks later came the letter. Real ink, real cursive on her good stationery. 4 paragraphs ending in a sentence I'd never forget. If you go through with this, you're choosing him over your family. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, don't expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be. Read it 3 times. Then I filed it away, the very first item in what would eventually become my binder, though I didn't know that yet. We got married at the courthouse with 12 guests, every one of them on Marcus's side. His mother Cora flew in with a garment bag and homemade pound cake, pinned a flower to my dress, and held my hands like I was already hers. "Welcome to the family, baby," she said. No one walked me down an aisle because there was no aisle, just a hallway, fluorescent lights, and a judge who mispronounced both our names. My dress was $60 from a consignment shop. Marcus's suit came off a clearance rack. We were happy and we were broke, and nobody from my childhood bothered to show up and see it. That night I mailed my parents a wedding photo with a note. "We're happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday." 11 days later it came back, stamped in red. Return to sender. That stamp is what started the binder. I wrote the date on the envelope in red pen and slid it into a manila folder, telling myself I just liked keeping records. I was a financial analyst by training. Paper trails were second nature. I had no idea at the time that I was building a case. For the first year, every card I sent came back the same way: birthdays, holidays, all of it stamped and returned, unopened. My father texted exactly once. "Your mother needs time." 4 words, nothing else for years. Meanwhile, Marcus quit his stable job to chase an idea software that made regulatory compliance bearable for small businesses that couldn't afford a legal team. He built it from our garage on a card table desk and a whiteboard from Goodwill. I came home from my own job every night and built the financial models beside him until midnight. Neither of us slept much. Compliance Score launched 7 months later with 4 customers and a free trial that crashed on day 1. Then came the twins, Liam and Sophie, 6 pounds each, born on a Wednesday in November. Marcus cried for the first time since I'd known him. Cora flew in and stayed 2 weeks, cooking rocking bobbies at 3 a.m., crocheting a blanket so soft it made me tear up. That was what Mother looked like. I'd sent my mother the ultrasound photos months earlier. Returned. Birth announcements. Returned. Photos of the bobbies sleeping. Returned. Each one got a number and a date in the binder. My sister, meanwhile, told a mutual friend in writing that my children don't have real grandparents. I printed that message out too. Year after year, the company grew slow, steady, unglamorous growth that paid the bills and kept the lights on. We bought a house. The twins started kindergarten. My mother posted family photos online that never once included us. I stopped expecting otherwise. By year 3, I'd more or less stopped crying about it. Some wounds don't heal, they just go quiet. Here's the part where things got strange. Compliance Core started showing up in industry write-ups. Forbes mentioned us. Marcus did a podcast. And suddenly my LinkedIn was getting quiet little visits from accounts in my old Ohio hometown. Then a friend back home accidentally got added to a family group chat and stayed in it for 3 days before anyone noticed. She sent me screenshots. I read them sitting in a parking lot, engine off, hands shaking, not from sadness, but from something colder. Clarity. My sister in that chat was tracking our company's funding rounds. My mother was asking how, me. My sister's advice, make a list, be specific, frame it like family investment, not AeroQuest. She's a numbers person. She'll respond to numbers. My father, to his credit, wrote, this doesn't feel right. He never said anything again after that. I filed the screenshots. Item 26. I called a lawyer not to threaten anyone, just to understand where I legally stood. Our assets were already protected. 9 years of documented silence made any claim against us almost laughable. But this, my attorney told me, wasn't really a legal problem. It was a personal one, and only I could decide how to answer it. Compliance Core went public on a Wednesday in October. We stood on the floor of the Nasdaq and watched the stock price climb. By the end of the day, our combined stake was worth somewhere around $44 million. It didn't feel real. It felt like a typo in a spreadsheet, except I'd checked the formula myself, more than once. That night, in our hotel room, I had 5 missed calls from Ohio. I didn't return them. The next morning, my father's voicemail was waiting. His voice cracked in a way I'd never heard. Baby girl, I saw you on the news. I'm proud of you. I've always been. A long pause. Your mother wants toe talk. He hadn't called me baby girl since I was 14. I played that voicemail 3 times, and each time I noticed the same thing a little louder. He was proud of me now, not after the wedding. Not after the twins. Now with 44 million attached to my name. 2 days later, my mother sent a long, carefully drafted text about how life is short and how she wanted to find a way forward. 63 words. Not one of them was sorry. I filed it. Item 29. My friend back home called to warn me my mother was packing a bag. I already knew. My sister had visited me weeks earlier under the guise of catching up and spent the entire conversation asking about my house, my car, our employee count, while secretly photographing my Tesla in the cafe parking lot. I added that to the binder too, so when the doorbell finally rang, I wasn't surprised. I was ready. I opened the door to a woman who looked older than I remembered, gray threading through her hair. I came to talk about the children's future, she said. Not I missed you. Not I was wrong. Children's future, children she'd never met, whose photographs she'd mailed back unopened. I led her to the kitchen, not the living room. The kitchen was where the truth lived in our house, the fridge covered in the twins' drawings and photos of Cora, who had shown up for every single birthday Diane had missed. She read her list aloud. Retirement fund. Her grandson's college fund. My father's knee surgery, the mortgage on the family home, monthly support. $925,000 itemized like an invoice. This is what families do, she told me. It's time to give back. I didn't argue. I got up, walked to my office, and came back with the binder. I set her page down on the left side of the table. I set my binder down on the right. Hers, 1 page, 5 bullet points, no apology. Mine, 29 items, 9 years, documented in red pen. I opened it to the first tab and started reading. Flat, factual, the same voice I'd use presenting quarterly numbers to a board. A returned birthday card. A returned wedding photo. A returned Christmas card. Voicemails she never answered. The Facebook caption, Sunday dinner with my people, that never once included me. My sister's text calling my children fake grandchildren. The group chat where they strategized how to ask me for money like negotiating a contract. I read it all. No raised voice, no tears, no performance. Just 9 years of receipts laid out one by one, the way you'd lay out evidence in an audit. For one brief second, something cracked in her. She admitted quietly, almost to herself, thatch'd been afraid. That accepting any of it meant admitting she'd thrown away 9 years for nothing. It was the first honest thing she'd said since she arrived. And then, just as quickly, her composure snapped back into place. But you left us. You made your choice, she said, and the moment was gone. Marcus walked in partway through. He didn't say a word, just set down his bag, sat next to me, and put his hand on my shoulder. My mother looked at the man she'd once said could never be one of us, sitting quietly beside the daughter she'd spent 9 years trying to erase, and I think she finally understood. I hadn't been waiting around for the Archer family. I'd already built one of my own. I won't give you money, I said. Not because I can't. Because the second I write that check, you'll convince yourself you were right to wait, that this was all just a rough patch instead of a choice you made, over and over for 9 years. I told her it didn't start with money. If she wanted to actually know her grandchildren, it had to start with an apology not to me but to them, and it had to be real, not convenient. She picked up her list, picked up her suitcase, and walked to the door. She paused, opened her mouth, closed it again, left. The door didn't slam, it just clicked. The sound of someone walking away from something she couldn't buy back. My father called a few weeks later, not asking for anything, just asking if he could try. We agreed to start small, phone calls, no visits yet, no money, just talking. That's more than I deserve, He said. It's exactly what you deserve, I told him. Not more, not less. My mother never called again. This time the silence was hers to break, not mine. The binder is still in that bottom drawer. 29 items. I'm hopping I never have to add a 30th. Here's what 9 years taught me. Family isn't the people who share your last name, and it isn't the people who reappear the moment your bank account changes. Family is whoever shows up when your garage is cold and your bobbies need someone to rock them at 3 a.m., the ones who fly in every 6 weeks without being asked. That's family. It was never about the money. It was always about who actually showed up. If someone in your life only resurfaced once things got good for you, I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments. And if this story reminded you that you were never just a line item, send it to Somyeon who needs to hear that today.